So we're still running for this league the same list that we were talking about in a previous deck tech. We're still just running Chain of Vapor in case of the Echoing Truths that I've been running for a long time. So far, realistically, I haven't found a great deal of difference between them. And we're still running the Massacre in the side as well, just to see how we go with that. So we kept it was a pretty weak hand here, and we got unlucky in that we drew a fourth land of all things. The hand's not terrible. It can go off reasonably quickly if we find just like a Dark Ritual or something. But it's not where we ideally want to be. We're going to lead on the Duress, because if we draw Dark Ritual next turn, we might be able to kill. And we see our opponent on Tezzerator, which is something that we don't really see a lot of. We're going to take the Force of Will and hope that we can dodge a Chalice of the Void. Because I think, actually no, Chalice and 1 we might actually be able to play through. So I guess what we really want to do here, I guess we're hoping he bricks on another coloured source. We're fine for him to drop the Ensnaring Bridge. We aren't running Empty the Warrens in the main deck. And, how many lands is that we've drawn now? We've drawn 5. We've drawn a full third of our lands. This is pretty ugly. And I'm guessing our opponent is one top deck off being able to drop Tezzerator. And Tezzerat's actually what will seal the game up. Chalice and 1, okay, cool. There it is. We're lucky we're in a position where this hand doesn't care about it too much. We burnt our only 1-drop. And at the moment, we're just going to aim to hit threshold here. So I think we can run Dark Ritual out end of turn, fetch Delta, fetch Misty, will give us 5. So we're still a ways off threshold here. We're trying to probably see here if we can hit Ad Nauseam. We have 4/7 mana, so we can Ad Nauseam this turn with no mana floating, which could actually be worth it. If we just draw something like 14 to 15 cards, it's actually, we leave ourselves with a reasonable likelihood that we're going to be able to kill next turn. Whereas if we go for it next turn, we can do it with 1 mana floating. However, we would have made a land drop. So how much could we get next? Yeah, we can Ad Nauseam next turn with the mana floating, but the land drop for turn gone. So I don't know if that actually leaves us any better off. The only reason being because we can't play 1-drops. And it gives our opponent another turn to find Tezzerator. Or to find mana for Tezzerator, I should say. Or another land drop and another Chalice of the Void, just to lock us out completely. So funny story about this deck, I tend to think it's not particularly amazing against Storm. It doesn't really back up what it's doing with the best of clocks or anything. However, not too long ago, I played against a friend who was on it. We're going to stop here, that's awful. And we're in real trouble now because of that Dark Petition. We probably should have stopped after the Tendrils, but we weren't looking great anyway. It's a really bad Ad Nauseam. Yeah, I was playing against a friend not too long ago in a competition. The dude managed to mulligan down to, I think, 4 cards. And from what I understand, he kept a chalice with no way to cast it on turn 1, top decked an Ancient Tomb, off a Scry, and so I got to go turn 1, Chalice of the Void on 1, and then I think 2 turns later drop a Chalice of the Void on 2. It's pretty awful. As will this be. So this is Tezzerator here. So I think that's right. Okay, so Tezzerator, I think, can use his -X ability there, and just kill us. So we're going to bring in all our removal, which is going to make sideboarding for this matchup really tough. I think we're going to end up leaving the Chain of Vapors behind, because we need to be able to keep some discard here. It's possible a chain is better than an empty the Warrens, because an empty, I guess he's not going to mulligan for bridge. So yeah, I think we're priced into keeping empty in this matchup. It's unfortunate this is about the only Chalice deck out there with both Force of Will. Well, the only Chalice deck out there with Force of Will that I'm aware of. I guess there's Merfolk, but that's not particularly good at powering out a Chalice. And so I tend to think is a bit weaker to us in general. And so we're cutting the standard kind of mix of 1 Past in Flames because they're playing black, so probably have some pretty good hard grave hate. Preordain because much as we'd love, or 2 Preordains because much as we'd love to keep them, I don't think we can afford to. A Cabal Ritual because once again it doesn't fare so well in front of hard grave hate. And we're cutting an island, which I'm not sure is correct. And we're going to have to mulligan this hand, and we're going to keep this hand and hope like hell it gets us there. We're really soft to a Chalice on 1. So we're going to have to hope pretty hard that... So we're going to turn 1 fetch C Ponder, hope to find something like... Actually, I think we can... No, okay, so we're not drawing the duress. So we need to fetch a Ponder. We need to fetch and ponder and probably find a piece of removal. I think in an ideal world, we ponder and see something like Hercules plus LED. So we can take the Hercules this turn, the LED next turn, and kill them on the 3rd turn. Our opponent's down to 4 cards, so I think we're feeling better about keeping the Ponder in general. And I think we want, I kind of want to Bayou here. The argument for getting an Underground Sea is it lets us act more freely. We'll take the Petal and Decay, I think. We can take the Ponder as well. So the Underground Sea lets us act more freely and lets us cast the spells that we, in an ideal world, are casting. What Bayou gives us is the ability to cast Abrupt Decay without needing anything else. Our opponent's got a Lodestone Golem, I think, so we can get to 6 mana this turn, so we can race a Golem. Or we can Therapy the Golem and possibly do something this turn, or next turn instead. So what we'd really like is to be able to cast a Tendrils for some amount here, but realistically we're going to wind up casting Empty the Warrens. And it's going to be a decent Empty the Warrens. We're going to get a 2-turn clock off it, which is really all we're interested in chasing. Our opponent's found a Chain of Mephistopheles. That's good to know about, but isn't going to achieve anything from here. And now our opponent has 2 turns exactly to find Ensnaring Bridge. So they need to drop a Tezzerator will make this easier. I think we should also be wary of Transmute Artifact. I feel like they have that. And I can't remember what on earth it does. Alright, so our opponent's found a position to cast Bolas next turn. Which will let them try to filter for what will most likely prove to be exactly nothing. I think even if they find Bridge, they are locked out just because they're not going to be able to dump their hand. Okay, and yeah, he goes for the filter ability and has to scoop. So we're going to run back the list. I think there was nothing wrong with it the first time. We've got our artifact removal and an alternate win con. We're now very glad we sided out the second Past in Flames because we know he's playing Leyline. And I have a feeling we're going to keep this hand. It's slow and it doesn't do a huge amount, but it will deal with Chalice fairly neatly. Oh, an opponent's got a 5-card hand. I think we're really happy about that. And I think we're going to fuss about Chalice on 0. I don't think it's something we're terribly concerned about. I think we're just going to duress. It's very likely we should have led on an Underground Sea to get better mana. We're definitely going to take that Chalice of the Void. Our opponent's going to have a Swamp and a Mystery card in hand after Baleful Strix. So the reason we're not probing this turn is because we're not going to be going off this turn anyway, not with a Chalice on 0 in play. So we're better off decaying Chalice, decaying Chalice in their turn, probing on our turn, and seeing what we can stitch together from there. So I think this will get us. Oh, they've drawn double Leyline of the Void. They're basically boned from here, because I think we can now cast Therapy to take the 2 Leylines, bringing us to Storm count 2. So we're going to get to drop 12 Goblins on the board this turn if we want. And given our current position, I think there's a fairly compelling reason to do so. I think there's also a fairly compelling reason to name something cute like Abandon Hope here, with the Cabal Therapy. Once again, in case he top decks Ensnaring Bridge, and we need to be able to get under it. So, I mean, we really should have named something inconsequential there. I don't think it's going to be terribly important, as he's got exactly 2 draw steps now. Once again, to find an out. So Tezzerator won't get him there in time, so we'd need to draw a land into a Tezzerator to be able to use its filtering ability. Transmute Artifact, I guess, once again might be able to do it. And we draw a Hercules Recall anyway, so... And we're going to get there.